The court has not been kind to the Biden administration. You see, a lot of what the Biden administration has done has been explicitly unconstitutional in many ways. First of all, starting with the vaccine mandates, which was so blatantly unconstitutional that the Biden administration barely even considered actually defending it, and really didn't put up a defense against the idea that it was unconstitutional in the first place. And so, predictably, it put on the chopping block of the circuit courts. I think there's 2 circuit courts now, which have now denied this particular mandate from going into effect, which has made it so that basically nationwide there is no vaccine mandate. Both the 5th and 6th courts have made this decision, and well, the Biden administration wouldn't be particularly happy with it, and you can understand why. I mean, they've been trying to suicide the nation over many an issue for quite a while now. And really, the courts and many other institutions in America have happened to be getting in their way more and more as time has gone on. Starting with the court, they've also gotten in the way on immigration. You see, Biden has been very insistent that he wants to completely destroy any semblance of a controlled border. He wants it so that all immigrants are coming across willy-nilly with no oversight whatsoever. And he's done this, of course, by putting in the best absentee he has, even greater than himself, of course, Kamala Harris, in charge of the border, and she has dutifully never gone to the border ever since, and has completely ignored the issue basically at all times, and not talked about it even in interviews, which she rarely does anyway. And, well, the courts weren't particularly happy with this, and now Biden has been forced to at least partially reinstate the Return to Mexico program during the Trump administration. Much to their chagrin, the courts do not want the border to be completely non-functional, and want things to be functioning quite well, and so they've been forced to do it in this particular circumstance, which they are very sad about. And it's not really even just the courts. The Biden administration has been stopped on all fronts from suicide in the country, not just in the courts, but also in the legislature. Take, for instance, the limitations on his Build Back Better program. I mean, yeah, he got through the infrastructure bill, but that was a neutered bill. That was only after much deliberation and cutting from the bill, which still left it at a absolutely paltry 1.8-something trillion dollars, but that wasn't enough for Biden. He wants to get through more, but some people are just insistent on keeping the country at least in some nominally functional form, and so he's having troubles trying to get past his fuller Build Back Better agenda. And on top of that, he's also having a number of other problems in the legislature as well, because some of his appointees are being limited from going through, particularly the Marxist ones. Because you see, Biden really wanted to have a communist in charge of the banking policies of the Biden administration in the U.S. More generally. I mean, he really wanted to see the legendary planning abilities of people who participate in communism, and he wanted to have such an intelligent person be up on the stand for him and fighting for America and communism, which sorely his hopes were dashed because, well, many evil right-wingers in the Senate simply don't want her to be a part of that whole process, and to the point where she has now rescinded her candidacy, simply saying that, oh, I was honored of all of that sort of stuff, but it's just, it's not the time for it. It's not okay. And Biden is very sad about this. I mean, he really, really wanted that Marxist to be in the banking institution. He really wanted her to be in charge of banking policy. And so this is a very sad thing. I mean, he wasn't able to implode the economy even more than he is. Now, of course, he's going to continue to try and implode the economy in other ways. We've already talked about the Build Back Better agenda and the sorts of inflationary policies that he already has in place on top of all the ones that he wants to institute even without the inputs of Congress. But functionally, he can't get a lot done, and that is because, at this point, he's a complete lame duck. There is nothing that better describes Biden at this point. I mean, he is at the point where not only are a lot of the courts, which were, of course, packed by Donald Trump, are against him, but also the legislator with the possibly slimmest majority that has ever existed in the legislature ever in American history, has been more than reluctant to actually put through anything that he wants to do. On top of that, he's also going to have the entirety of the infrastructure of local politics be turned against him as well, because, well, just in case you didn't notice over the 2021 elections, those have swung substantially Republican and not really in the rhino bent. A lot of them have gone actually Republican, which is kind of interesting and has led Biden to be in a very precarious position, because as anyone should have learned from the Trump administration, if you have a bunch of people under you who are, as president, if you have a bunch of people under you who are utterly and totally against you and want to destroy everything that you stand for, it's hard to get anything done. And that is especially the case if you don't have any local support. If you don't have the support from the local boards, if you don't have the support from the city councils, from the state legislators of the world, from the governors, and all of that sort of stuff, you're never going to get anything done. What you're going to end up having is any policy that you actually try to implement will be stonewalled at every opportunity. And unlike with national things, it won't garner national attention because it's all local. Any local policy, unless it's particularly spicy, is going to remain a local story. And so what ends up happening is that even as Biden attempts to implode the country from the top, the bottom is preventing that from happening by simply refusing to implement many of his policies and prescriptions and suggestions. This is best, I think, illustrated in the COVID-19 example because, well, COVID-19 restrictions, mandates, all of that sort of stuff are happening in blue states and states like New York and California where, frankly, they deserve what's coming to them with those sorts of disastrous economic policies. But in all of the same states, they don't have those policies in place. They don't have mask mandates. They don't have vaccine mandates. In fact, a lot of them are explicitly blocking those sorts of things from above and in many cases below as well. That's the situation that Biden's in, and it's gotten so bad that even a majority of Democrats don't want him to run in 2024, to the point where he only has 37% support for a 2024 run from Democrats, according to a recent poll. Now, that poll could be an outlier, of course. It's not as though it's a new poll, and I can't fully vouch for its accuracy, but that sort of trend is being played out in all of the polling. He has gone from having massive approval, which of course was astroturf a lot of the way through, but it was much better before, to now having being -12, -14, -16, almost 20 in approval ratings. And this is all over the course of about 2 to 3 months. And remember, we're not even out of the first year yet. Just imagine how much worse it's going to be after 2022, and even the faux House majority that he has right now withers away into complete disintegration. Imagine what he is not going to be able to get done at that point. He will be able to do absolutely nothing because he will have nothing at all. And the important thing to take from this is, of course, that presidents are not dictators. And even if a president, which as bad as Biden, as demented as Biden, is in office, you can still prevent a lot of the more damaging things from those sorts of precedents from happening simply by taking over every single thing underneath them. Of course, they won't have any recourse because the president's powers only extend so far, and even in that, they can be limited in many, many ways. And they have very little recourse to that strategy. Of course, other than the strategy of demoralizing their opposition through people who simply state that there's nothing you can do at all. And that's about all they can do, and that's where I'm going to leave you guys off. If you enjoyed that video, do subscribe down below and check me out on other platforms. I'm on BitChute, I'm on Brighteon, I'm on Odyssey, I'm on Rumble, I'm on all of those places. I'm also on Getter, Gab, and Minds if you want to check out some text posts and that sort of stuff. And that's where I'm going to leave you guys off. I'm KelKidman, this has been Breaking on the Daily, and I'm out.